Hello, I'm Alastair McIntyre for LectureScotland.com, and I'd like to tell you a bit about our Scots Language section on the website. We've only recently added this to the menu, but the main reason for that is because more and more people are getting very interested in the old Scots language. This is a language spoken in Robert Burns' day and before. And I felt it was time to help promote this part of our site so that people could learn a little bit more about the Scots language. We've got a very good contributor to the site now, a man called David Purvis. David is well immersed in the old Scots language. In fact, has translated a lot of material into the language. I mean, in this particular case, I'd like to give you a flavour of it, and I'm going to read from a little introduction to a bit that he wrote when he was translating some old 1st century Chinese poetry into the Scots language. Here's what he says. English has now developed into an international scientific and technological language employed by hundreds of millions of people with many different cultural backgrounds living in different parts of the planet. It is sometimes argued that because it is not longer the language of any specific community and has lost contact with its original social roots, English is no longer a suitable language for poetry, which is properly concerned with the life and plight of man as a social being. Although the Scots language is certainly closely related to English, this argument cannot be applied to Scots. Scots is an intimate social language which is much less concerned with abstractions than English. It is specific to an identifiable community, and it has a very different emotional flavour from English. I believe that these versions of Chinese poems in Scots have a vigour and emotional quality in Scots which was not always evident in the English versions from which they were derived. The Scots language can be powerful, tender, earthy, or humorous, and the best poetry reflects the sentiment expressed by Burns that the heart's a, the paired a, that max us rich orang. The compatibility of the Scots language with ancient Chinese poetry is no doubt due to the fact that this is usually straight from the heart. Scots has its limitations, but it does not lend itself to pomposity or affectation, and may therefore be a more suitable medium than contemporary English for rendering these poems. Whether these recreations do justice to the original poems in Chinese is a question for the judgment of the select band of Chinese scholars who are also familiar with literary Scots. So perhaps that's giving you a little bit of a flavour of the Scots language. And certainly in this section David has produced an amazing amount of material already about the Scots language. And he's given you English translations beside it, so it gives you a chance to compare the two. We've also put a major link on this particular index page to the Scots Language section of the Scots Independent newspaper. Many years ago, maybe 6 years ago, something like that, I worked with the Scots Independent newspaper to produce the weekly Flag in the Wind, which is a newsletter. Basically is about Scottish politics and the independence movement, but it also included a very large section on cultural matters. And within that, I was pleased to get involved in starting to record the Scots language in real audio. So if you follow that link, you'll be able to literally click on tons of links that will have people reading you that word in Scots. I mean, for example, if you just went to their glossary section, well, they must have a couple of thousand words in there now. If you click a single word, they will actually say that to you in Scots, then they'll give you the English translation, and then they'll give you a phrase using the word in Scots, and then again in English translation, and they'll finish off by saying the word one more time in Scots. So you really get to know what the Scots language sounds like. They've also got lots of short stories, poems, longer stories for that matter, all recorded in the Scots language. So you can not only read it on the screen, but listen to it as you're reading. So that will really get you involved in the Scots language in quite a major way. So I think this is a wonderful resource. And I'd certainly love to see the Scots language getting much more prominence. And from what I understand, it is gaining more prominence now in Scotland. and perhaps it would be interesting if you were to try and immerse yourself a little bit in it as well, to just get that flavour of what Scots is all about. So there you have our Scots Language section of Electra Scotland. Certainly a section I'm very proud to be involved in. I'm very thankful to the contributors that are sending in information for us on that front. So there you go. Click on the Scots Language section, our main menu, and explore and listen to the Scots language.